Guys, so we're back, episode 2, building the first ever all-star South Asian football team, Brown Ballers FC. Got me, Nav. Of course, Z is back in the building. Then we got our special guest today. Our official general manager, Parus, is in the building. Parus, how you doing?
Good. How are you, man? I'm excited. Very
We're
excited to have
good.
this
We're excited,
conversation.
man. Z is joining again from 7-hour difference. So Z, we appreciate you.
Do you know what it is? Last week I had the spotlight, didn't I? And now the boss is here. So
Hey,
we're
thanks for joining,
that's the
boss.
taking a
first time.
backseat.
That's the first time I've heard that. So thank you, Zahib. I really appreciate that. I need the ego boost today. I'm excited. No, seriously, thank you guys. This is brilliant. I think this is very important to let everyone know the story and how we're getting to where we want to go. So thank you.
No, I'm excited. So let's kind of give you the mic first. Just kind of give an introduction to Parus, like everything you got going on. Like, who are you?
All right now, okay. And slow and steady. So the short version. So my company, Nischal Sports Group, we sort of first and foremost develop and represent soccer players around the world. Um, the we sort of pride ourselves on having a development aspect, which sort of involves testing players to make sure they're physically ready for the professional game, as well as helping them, to prevent injury and just sort of understanding what it means to be sort of soccer fit. And then we have a data piece, which we use to analyze their on-field performance, and then when we present them to teams, it just gives us a better understanding of and better knowledge of the player themselves, and then we can be fully prepared when going into meetings with coaches, technical directors, and so on. And then around COVID, which I think when me and Z started having our first big talks, we decided to represent women's footballers, and then we decided to represent coaches too, because we felt that if we are able to, work with the coaches, the ones that bring the players in, there could be a lot more to be done. Because as many other people who work in the agency realm know, it's really really hard to push players through, and there's a lot of us trying to do the same thing, and that's why we do so many different things to be a bit different. And then the final thing we do is facilitation. So we help people in all aspects of sport when it comes to whether it's buying or selling their teams or other stakeholders or brands want to be involved. So again, wanting to be as useful as possible within the sports space, again, to be as different as possible as well. So that's the quick spiel about what we do. And yeah, that's what, and that's where we're at now. So
And I know you mentioned a few times, you made a couple funny jokes, which we'll talk about later. But what actually was your playing background?
oh yeah, so well, I don't know why I'm laughing because it make me laugh. No, so grew up in England, and in England, the as everyone people may be watching this know that a lot of Europe and pretty much most of the world operate on this academy system. So a lot of professional teams have age groups below them, and around 12, 13, and I was scouted by a gentleman named Dave Bassett, who I want to shout him out. He was heavily influential in where I am today, and basically bounced around a variety of trials really, and got punched around by the system, which it's Zahaib knows it's very brutal. There's no room for error when you're trialing at these clubs, and I got the similar excuses of I was quite quick, but I wasn't too skinny like a lot of people with our backgrounds. It's we're not used to we seem to be really really skinny till 25, and then we get really fat, which is unfortunately the trajectory. Not to be racist to our own people, but unfortunately, jokes aside, that's the stereotype, right? It's the stereotype after playing. That's what happened. So I think once I got around 16, 17, my family moved to the United States, and the idea was to still go pro. And at the time, I was sort of bouncing around, and the plan was to play at college. Around the time when I was playing, academies weren't as rife, um, and unfortunately, my first sort of week or so, 10 days of training session at a Division One college, um, uh, I uh, I had a really bad lung injury, basically, and I wasn't able to continue, and that honestly definitely derailed my psyche mentally. Just it was very very difficult to recover because that's all I ever thought I was going to be was a player. And so finished university, ended up getting a job back in England in accounting, and then after 4.5 months I left, and then started the business. A few months later. So the whole journey to get to where I am, it's you know it's a journey of failure. It's a journey of recovery. It's all the other things, and what I wanted to build is essentially what I wish I had growing up. Somebody that had been through it, knows what the really difficult side of it is, and then being able to help where I can. So, not to get emotional, everyone.
I think it's incredible. I didn't know you had that side to you. See, it kind of came out a little bit there.
Listen, when you talk about football, it's that's when I cry.
I could tell you're like you guys are both obviously super passionate about the game. It's been a massive part of your life. Z, if I pass the mic to you, can you explain a little bit about how you guys even met? Like, how did this relationship start between you two?
How did it begin? I just want to pick up on what Parus was saying, the last part about building something that we wish we had. I think that's the common theme in what we were trying to do. Is put something in place that hasn't existed for us, but will be massively beneficial. So from my perspective, the reporting, the connections, the networking, Parus' perspective, the use of tech, again, networks, and understanding how systems and processes work within the football industry to then help us propel. And that, I think, that's a great segue into how we first met. We followed each other on social media, and you appeared on a podcast with a friend of ours.
Oh yeah,
Really.
yes, I did. Yeah, absolutely.
And afterwards, we had an exchange of DMs, and this was around, I believe, lockdown, wasn't it, in 2020,
It's
in
probably
spring 2020?
very early on. Yeah, really early on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
first couple of weeks, wasn't it? First couple of weeks of lockdown, during COVID, and then we set up a Zoom call. It was supposed to be for like an hour. I had a book for an hour. I think we chatted for like 3.5, 4 hours. Just like, I think you're just finding like very common grounds in terms of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve in similar fields and different fields. But our kind of outlook were very much the same, even though our age difference is such. I'm not ashamed to admit I am, a decade older, but I saw a lot of
Just
similarities in how I felt at that age when I was Parus's age. If I can say that from experience perspective, but also understanding like what frustrations there are, but what we're trying to do to kind of combat those frustrations as well. So we've had a lot of like common grounds in what we're trying to do, and I was like, well, there's people out there like Parus who are doing things that I wish was around when I was younger. So it then becomes a duty, and I think I mentioned this before. It becomes a duty then to support individuals who are trying to achieve a goal and are actively pursuing the goal of helping the wider community. But aside from that, we just become good friends as well. Like it turned from just having a Zoom chat to then becoming like more than just acquaintances. Become like brothers almost. Do you know what I mean? Like we'll
yeah.
chat on a regular basis, even things that not to do with football. And whenever Paris is around in UK, make sure that I look after him. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's turned into something that we found common values and common like grounds with, and it's become like a really good friendship. It's one of the few people I can trust in the game, and I think that's for me that's the big thing as well.
No, yeah. I mean, echoed everything. It's very well put. To be honest, I think yeah. Um, yeah, it's rare that I don't think I've actually come since COVID. I don't think I've ever come back to England without checking on Zohaib as well. So it's very, and I think it's also important. I think, and again, I don't want to cut into the time here, Naveen, as well. But I think one thing that needs to be said is the when I started, when I was young, and I wanted to be the first person to do it. I think it's very important that I think at that age I should have known and wished I had known that I wasn't even close to being the first person to do any of this. And I think whether playing football, reporting on football, coaching in football, owning a football team, all those other things, right? I think it was really important. We know our history as well.
Mhm.
So that was so when I had the pleasure of talking to Zabe the first time, and obviously now we just banter all the time. It's like I said, it's like brothers, and it's I don't have an older brother, I have a younger brother, a younger sister. It's nice to have an older brother to roast. So now I get it. And but that's important because the community in football in general, not just within people who look like us or sound like us or are from the same continent. It's just in general the community can be very, it can be very tiresome is the wrong word. It can really affect your work because not every the industry is ruthless. It really is, and so it's super.
Mhm.
It's like any sport. It's very important to surround yourself with people, and I think Zahaib and I do this every day. 24/7, and I think Zahaib's very similar. Obviously, in what he does in social media, but he's in marketing in general, and he's just been doing this since for almost again not dating you Zahaib, but like, what, over 15 years, and so because you feel like you're going the same journey and trying the same things and almost hitting the same target from different angles, it's inevitable that you're going to be close, and especially with good people, and luckily with Amric as well, and it's part of I guess the staff of what we're doing. That's what's happened. We all speak pretty much every day, like Sahib says. I think, yeah, especially since it's all started, but we just speak once a week at least. To catch up and our calls, and again, the content of that, like Zahib saying, could be anything, but really, what definitely pulls us together is the same goal, and it's a massive goal, and the TST 7v7 is a part of that. It's a part of the because there's not. Listen, we might put a team together, as and we might do fantastic, we might do okay, it might go not as how might make a lot of mistakes, which happens, but in the day that because of you guys, Naveen, I think it's important to be said. I know we're on a podcast, but it's always important. I hope I've told you this before that it's so important you've given yourselves and us the platform to showcase this. And I think and as I said, it allows us to tick off part of the journey towards the bigger goal. So
Yeah,
I
no,
want to thank you for
absolutely.
that. To make sure you're thanked on camera. So
No, I appreciate you guys, man. I think, like you said, it's a good first step for us, and I think we all have these lofty, big goals for where we want to take the platform, or just our individual goals, but just the game or the culture in general. And I've always wanted to do this team. So I told Z last time, like, I know we tried last year, even the year before that, but I'm really happy that it's actually happening this year because
right,
it's just such a massive sport. So many people watch football. There's such a fan following around it. Like, there's so many great South Asian football players, which I'm lucky now to be a part of this with you guys because I told Z this last time too. Like this guy posted another athlete today. I'm just like, okay, great. Another South Asian footballer we didn't know about. So it's just cool to see like the level of talent out there. And like I said, to be able to come give some of these players a platform is huge, right? And you guys are helping us lead that charge, which is going to be massive. And just one last
Can
thing
I
before we
just
move
say?
on.
Can I just add one thing
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well? Let's give a shout out to Round Borders, 66,000 followers. I think we just passed that
Let's
milestone.
go. Let's
Great
go.
milestone. Yeah, give props to
Yeah,
that.
and we appreciate everyone following and supporting, man. Like it's cool to see it grow, and obviously bigger and better things as we come, right? Go to this tournament. I think we're gonna have some viral moments. So we'll see what happens, right? So a lot of cool things. But thanks to everyone supporting us, and obviously everyone a part of it. I want to say this too because you guys talk about kind of like this brotherhood, and you guys have developed in this bond. And the one thing that I noticed from just phone calls, emails, texts that we were sending before we even like signed stuff with you guys, I just like had this sense that you guys were like a close knit group. You know what I mean? Like there was like a sense of, okay, these guys are talking amongst each other. They're figuring out, they're having back and forth separately. There's like a rapport and a relationship there. And that made me feel good, just so you guys know, because like we haven't had that in the past. Sometimes it's one person from here, one person from this person, but there's no connection. And you guys like brought that together, which is nice.
what? Yeah, I mean, on one thing on that, and I want to mention as well. I think I should have mentioned first. Um, I think like again, there's not many of us in the sport. I mean, again, there's a whole other discussion to really understand what we mean by equality, what we mean by but in the day, I think all of us in the sport that have the same goal and the same target, which is again be the best. Really, that's the goal. Um, we all seem to, we all know each other, and I think one of the few people I want to make sure that we do talk about is that we do we do have like, and again, I'm sure I'll miss people out, but I know at least for our little group, there's Zahaib, myself, and I'm going to shout out the OGs as well, and Arnav Chaudhary as well, who's another one who he's been doing this before again, I'm not going to say how old he is, but I know he's been doing it before with Zahaib, and Shanawaz as well, and Dave Trehan is at Sky Sports. One of the few writers at that level that talks about South Asian in sports, right? And so, and I'm sure, and again, I am sorry if I miss anybody, as well, but there's obviously more people out there, in Canada and North America, I'm sure, and obviously you boys as well, right? Brown Ballers, as a media platform, which you are at the end of the day, showcasing everything. So I think it's just very natural, that when everyone has a similar goal and everyone is, I speak of myself, obsessed with it, and maybe I think Zahay maybe as well, but at least definitely coming from my perspective, I know we're all obsessed with it, all want to, push the agenda forward. Then you inevitably become. I don't think we got sick of each other yet. Maybe in a few years. Maybe after the fifth or fourth one we do it. But yeah, no. I just want to make sure it's important. We shout out people like that, like I mentioned, because it's important that again. Oh, sorry, I was speaking for both of us, but even before us, there are people in the sport, and again, we can even go further back to some of the OGs, like even play football, like Jimmy Carter, Roger Villiers. I mean, we can name all the names, and I'm sorry to name the names, but I think it's important that at least we mention some. We could be here all day, but yeah, we're just trying to carry on the work, man. So.
No, I love it. Okay, let's dive into some TST stuff now. Talk about the team a little bit, some strategy stuff. But before we do, in your eyes, in your mind, if someone is watching this, they got a good introduction for you right now, but now they're wondering, like, what does a GM do? It's like, so how would you answer, like, a GM for Brown Ballers FC? What are you doing?
Depends on the day. No, so obviously, as you can imagine, this is on top of all for you as well, right? I mean, like, we're all doing this on top of
Yeah.
our regular lives and with families and work and stuff like that, and obviously my business and Zay's and obviously with yours as well. But again, obviously the goal, and this is an interesting one as well, because obviously I'm on the other side usually. As somebody who represents players or is a facilitator, I'm usually on the other side. I'm talking with GMs of teams, technical directors, ownership, coaches, assistant coaches. So I see what I don't like and what I do like in that side. And again, by all means, am I going to be anyone in that who takes a role like this perfect? But the goal for us anyway in this situation is unique, because obviously the team doesn't exist before this. We're putting a team together for a different format of football, which is not 11 aside, it's 7 aside. And we're putting it together in record time in some ways, right? With
Yeah.
with limited resources as well. So it's also just making sure that we, speak to everybody. We have and again, be ruthless as well, right? The goal is to win the tournament. I'm saying it on record now, so you guys have it. But the goal is to win the tournament, and I think we shouldn't be entering, or as anyone should be entering a tournament to not win it. And I think that's with the players we've spoken to so far, and the players who I maybe can't mention now that have somewhat agreed to play for us at the moment, pending schedules and stuff like that. Everyone's goal is the same. So yeah, so to long answer your question, yeah. So the goal, the role changes, but at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure we put together a team that's been fairly looked at, and has the best chance of competing in a tournament. And obviously, alongside Zahaib and Amrik, sort of like the trio that we have decisions. The one thing I think I mentioned to Zahaib today, actually, on a different call, because we spoke earlier today, was we don't have an ego, or we try to not have an ego. I think we'll have our opinions of players, and we've already had many conversations where we've disagreed on who want to bring in, because of certain reasons and on-field reasons. But in the day, like, three of us helps, because there's no, even it's an odd number, so someone's going to get voted out, and that's fine. But it means it just allows us to make decisions quickly, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't have time. 98 days, I think, till the tournament. So as we progress, we're looking to make sure we make the best decision. Honestly, the right decision I might not make over time, or someone might not make over time, but we'll try and make the best decision and the best approach. So yes, that's the goal. And again, in regular life, a general manager that's the idea, right? Is to, again, rubbish sort of like cliche, but making sure everyone in the cog underneath, whether it's coaches and the players, are are doing okay, are operating as best as they can. Making sure that everything's in place for the playing staff to do the playing, right? So obviously my job and Zahib obviously helping me out is to make sure we look at the right players, we consult with the coaching staff, and make sure that everyone's okay with it, and then you guys run with the training, and obviously we'll have an input just because obviously having played and having been coaches in that environment. But in the day, like it's not my decision who's on the pitch, um, and my decision who makes the subs. Obviously, we'll give a help where we need to. Where we're asked, but I want to make sure that we keep that hierarchy because at the end of the day, even if it's 77, even if it's 4 days, I want to make sure we operate properly, because this is the chance for a lifetime for a lot of players that might come play for us, and I want to make sure that we do our best to operate like a quote unquote real club, but we, in my eyes we already are, and operate as such and professionally as possible.
No, I love that. So my next question is, and you kind of maybe just answered some of this stuff, but I'm just curious if you have anything different. No, it's great. I'm happy you did that. You're a great person to have on the pod. Yeah, it's great. But I was going to ask you like the vision for this team, short term and long term. Like, have you guys thought about that? Like, you just mentioned some things like we want to make sure we live up to the standard of having the players, if they're playing pro, same standards, same kind of resources and things when they come to us, right? Is there anything else you think about that we want to build from year one, let's say to year 5 of us doing this?
I think, and Zabe, you jump in whenever if you think I'm missing something. But yeah, I mean, the goal is to leave a blueprint that the next person, if it's not us, comes in and goes, okay, well, this would work, this one didn't work, and then they can make a decision. I think we don't have, at least, I know I'm trying, I joke with Zabe. I know I can love the praise sometimes, but try not to have an ego about it. But yes, the goal is really to leave a blueprint, and whether that be, a certain strategy of picking players from who play this format all the time, who don't play this format all the time, who play smaller formats, to personalities or whatever. I think again the goal is to make sure, and really number one goal, and this is where moving forward is, I think making sure the players that whenever you have again this year and hopefully the next year and the year after, have the mentality that they have to win the whole thing. They have to win. That's their mentality, because I think and I think the other thing as well, and again, if I'm talking too long as well, just virtually nudge me on the table. But I think, that was another not a concern, I guess, Naveen, which I may have talked to you about a while ago. But I think, we one of the things that we will, and again, Zabe, please, jump in as well. I know I struggle with is when I started with was when, people would call me the brown agent or the Indian agent.
Right.
And obviously, I think with what we're trying to do, obviously we're called Brown Ballers FC, and and we're proud of that. But I think it's in the day, it's the platform that's going to have the players of this background be successful, and we're trying to make the football do all the talking, right? It's we're not here to just compete and tick a box and say, yeah, we entered it and see you later. That's not the point. The point is yourself and Gautam, the founders of Brown Ballers, have given us a platform to showcase, not just the fact that we're brown, is to showcase our abilities in the football world, right? Like, Amrik is an incredible coach, and Zabe literally been an incredible operator in football for as long as from a journalistic perspective, and from even as a talent ID perspective, right? Like this kid, this guy sees the kid, he's older than me, sees talent.
I'll take the kids, please. I'll take the kids.
Yeah, take kids. So no, it's not. The whole point of this is not to gas everybody up. It's just to be honest. It's like we've worked really hard, and I know personally I've worked. I think about football every day, 24/7. I'm sure it annoys my family and people around me, but it's all I think about, and I think that's obsession. Is slightly what we need. So again, to repeat, wanting to be obsessed with winning and that's the vision really, right? Winning the tournament, and obviously if we don't win, we don't win, but we have to have that mentality to go in, saying that we're going to do everything we can to win, and if we come up against a team that equally has that, and then we lose, and that's the nature of the game.
One thing I would add to that as well is, all of us in this room right now, we're all privileged in a sense of being in the industry and having access to winners, right? People who excel and are part of that 1% club where
Mm.
players, coaches, GMs, owners, and you start picking up some of the traits that they have, and that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that we are, as Parus said, we are brown by nature, right? We're South Asian, but if we focus too much on that side of things, it kind of dilutes who we are in terms of our contribution to the world, whether it's sports, media, or any other profession. And the reason why we're all working together, and another thing to mention is we're working across different time zones and different locations and countries to bring this all together. So, in is one of the questions that we addressed last in our last episode about some of the challenges is working across these different time zones and working with
Yep.
players who are in different locations as well. The only way I'm comforted, and the only way it makes it easier is because I'm continuing to work as I would in any other part of what I do in football. In terms of football or media or content creation, there's a method and there's a process, and I think we all follow it because we use that in our everyday professional lives. So whether it's contacting, talking to players, whether it's like,
Right.
talking to sponsors, suppliers, whatever it is, we're following that philosophy. So the comfort of having, well, there's 90 odd days to go, and obviously that would be a stressful time for most people. I'm sure it's, we're feeling it a little, but I'm always confident in the approach that I take when I'm doing any kind of project. And I think I needed to have that comfort and that kind of belief in everyone else I was working in, and that was the key part of our conversations before we agreed to do this as well. Was, do we all have the same ethos and values and what we want to achieve
Mhm.
as the outcome? And that was strong. That's what came across strong, and that's the only reason why we all agreed to it, because and again, it's taking away the ego. It's not like I want to do this because I want to go to I want to be on TV and be in front of big crowds and all about me. I'm like, no, actually, this is a monumental project, but I like the sound of it because I want to get my hands stuck into big projects. Why dream small? Why think small? And I think
Exactly.
that's what I find across you guys as well, that you have that same kind of ethos, and I'm happy to find it in the youngers. And I'm always it's refreshing when I speak to young people like yourselves who have that drive, and I'm like, okay, cool, we can make something big happen because you're not thinking about what could go wrong. You're thinking about what could actually go right, and I think that's such a wicked approach to have.
Absolutely. No, said everything, honestly.
I just want people to know, like, so I've obviously never met these guys yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting you guys and just having some drinks and hanging out because it seems like it seems like good vibes, and I feel like Z's gonna give me some inspirational advice at some point during that night. It might change my life, just the way, it's very profound.
Well, hey, listen, on a quick side note, there was a time we were hanging out in London, we were having a meeting about, I think we were talking about trying to get Amrik to interview something with you, I think, Zabe. Um, and oh yeah, for those of you who don't know, I do represent Amrik, so just in case, I was just making sure. Just plugging myself again. But no, we were in the park. Where were we? We were sitting on a bench or something, and I don't know what he said, bro. But I remember going home like, damn. All right, okay, cool. And I went to the gym. So, and I've been in the gym in like 7 months. So I don't know what he said. It was nothing to do with the gym. Nothing to do with working out, I'm
He
sure. But it was
inspired
very
you.
like, go get. Yeah, no, no. That's an important thing, and I think again, that's the other thing too that is very very important. Especially for Amrik as well. I think whenever we have him on and you talk with him, his story is incredible because, and again, I won't talk about it too much. It's his story to tell, but it's one of those things where I'm also, obviously being, I guess, of all four of us, I guess I'm the youngest. Um, Having, future versions of what I want to be in front of me in different aspects with Zahay, with yourself, with Amrik, um, it's extremely important and it keeps me hungry. So, I'm grateful to you guys, but I think that, and I hope I'm able to give some of that back to you guys, but that's a big one. It's having everyone to
Mhm.
chase, and I think that's massive. And then obviously then applying that same mentality to the team. Like we're chasing La Bombonera. I think they won last year at TST. So like that, that's what the goal is. So I'm chasing those guys. And Nani FC, I think we're in the final. So we that's the goal, chasing those guys. So it's very very exciting. And I think I think, and also again credit to you, Naveen, as well. Going about it, how it's dealing with us in so many different ways, because obviously we're all working 15, 20 hours a day on other things as well.
Yep,
And then
yep.
you're like, texting, "Hey, Parus, did you get it done yet?" I'm like, "Oh, I am on in the car driving. I'm traveling. I'm somewhere, but I'll get it done." But it's important. It's important. So yeah, I'm just. I think the main thing is to say so excited, and I think that, like I said, I know we initially started this conversation with the vision, but yeah, the vision is to chase that trophy, and obviously that what that comes with, which is the $1 million. So
No,
excited.
I love it. Speaking of chasing these teams like Nani and everyone else is going to be coming, some new teams, that we can't say, but some big teams coming this year too. When you're putting this team together and you're looking at these players, like what are those top things that you're looking for from the GM side? Whether maybe it's a skill, maybe it's just the mindset, how hard they work. Like, what are those things you're looking for? Because I know some players are going to be watching this, and maybe reach out to us after.
Yeah, I think I had a couple of conversations today with some players. I mean, there's three things I think I can maybe say. Obviously, your experience. You know, at the end of the day, the goal is to win the tournament. And I keep saying it because I think it's important that
Mhm.
everybody who is just keep saying that word and hearing that phrase. Um, the experience is important, right? So obviously, encouraging anyone that we may have missed, who have played at a level that's high, and to clarify, we're looking at players who have had 300 professional league games. We're looking at players that have played in seven-a-side, five-star tournaments and won multiple times. Played in World Cups at the small side level. We're looking at players who've dominated at small side in different parts of the world. So it's extremely high level that we're honestly and privileged to look at as well, right? So that there's so much talent out there to choose from, which then makes the job harder. Um, so that's the first thing is obviously experience. The second thing is yes, the mentality. I mean, that's just to me, and I think Zahav Amrik, we all agree that it's 60-70% ish almost in some ways. It's like you know it's going to be hot down there in Cary. There's going to be a moment where it might be 1-1 or 2-2, or we might be 3-3-1, 3-2 down, or something like that. And I need someone who's going to be on the field and is going to give you bust that lung to get back to defend a counter attack, or somebody who's going to get the pitch to support a teammate on a break or something. So there's so many different things, but the mentality is and especially where they play too. I think am I no way near as experienced as a GM at the top level in professional sports, or even in semi-pro sports, right? Like it's extremely difficult job, but you know what I have seen and what I'm trying to learn from those guys is their mentality. It's like they have all these people in the building, whether it's the guys who make the food, the guys who you know um, are the groundsmen, the groundspeople. It's the mentality is the same. We're here to win. I want to be the best. It is what it is. So that's the main thing, and then obviously the third thing is um, I think, well, I guess it really is too, right? Is the experience, and then obviously the vision, and then obviously the other things are smaller. So from a football perspective, like what are we looking at? What is their first touch like? What is their ability off the ball like? You know, do we see they're able to learn again a different format, because not everybody's going to have played seven-a-side, and especially with the rules of TST are so different. Obviously most people have played seven-a-side where there isn't an offside rule, but there's that target timer, target score at the end,
Mhm.
which is I think the feature of the tournament. Um, so that those small things is the next bit, right? So you have the two big things at the start, and then you have the smaller, not tertiary, but other equally as important, more on field, um, you know, I guess skills and advantages they may bring. And then obviously the final thing is the fitness. We've got
Of
it's going to
course, yeah.
be hot tournament. So that's what I'd see it as. And again, and honestly, just applying what we see when we're looking for players in general. That first touch, the movement off the ball, and then the mentality. Those are the three things usually I'll look at first, and then the next bit is going to be the details. And then obviously, what we're lucky with is there's players that I might miss, as Zahaib knows. There's players that Zahaib might miss that I know, and Amrik, and so on and so forth. And obviously, it's a fluid situation. So we'll voice it on the group chat. What do you think of this person? And then, and yeah, so that's how I think, that's what we're looking for, and to give us the best chance of competing against these players. Because again, I know Aguero's still playing. Sergio Aguero will be there. Luis Nani, I think Stephen Allen's playing now, which I used to watch him as a young. Do you remember Stephen Allen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he'll be there, and I think I was trying to explain to a player today. I think Zabe was on the call. Was that these guys might be a little older and a little slower, but these are experienced
Yeah.
ballers. These guys are no joke, and so that's why we have to be, and as to quote Zahaib, to come correct, and that means to the best of our ability on these different time zones and the limited resources is to get the right players with the aforementioned characteristics.
Let me transition to TST, and Z, I'll pass it to you first, maybe, and then Parus, let us know what you think. But you just mentioned some of the rules, right? 7v7, sub on the fly, the end each match on a goal, right? Which is what the tournament's known for. Is there a specific rule or one of those things I just said that you guys are actually looking forward to compared to the normal 11v11 that you're always experiencing?
It's usually what was it mean?
I mean, Z, if you want to.
I can do it if you want.
You go. Listen, my mind's gone blank. I'm like, what are the rules again?
No, so this guy, he's supposed to be my assistant, bro. He's supposed to help me when I go blank. No,
that's why you're here. That's why you're here.
Ending on the goal. I think as somebody who was a forward again, as a young player, like banging in goals is what I wanted to do. I always did as a kid. Again, not as well as some of the players that we're looking to bring in, but it's an interesting rule. I mean, like I know definitely confused me first reading it. I was like, what do you mean that no matter what the score is at the end, you got to hit a target after that? And I think if I remember correctly, and TST, forgive me if I get this wrong, but if I remember correctly, at the end of the game, they just go first to the current score +1, right? So if you're losing 6-3, it's first to 7.
Exactly.
That's correct. So in some ways, I was like, oh, what's the point? We just, what's the point playing football? We just do a penalty shootout, then what's the point?
Yeah.
But no, it's exciting because I think what it does though is I think, and this is again not to get emotional maybe or to I'm a Liverpool fan, so I've grown up with miracles my whole life. Miracle. I'm not sure if whenever you know this, the miracle of Istanbul. Liverpool were 3-0 down against one of the greatest teams to ever play to grace the field, and we came back and won that tournament when we should not have. And I think that can give the glimmer of hope, right? Like it's 5-3 down, you've had a rubbish last 5-10 minutes, and you're just struggling, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, first to 6, it's not over yet, and it's almost like overtime and golden goal all in one. I was like, right, why not? We have nothing to lose at this point, and again, and I don't remember all the scores of last year, but it obviously can be unlikely. But that's my favorite bit.
It can happen.
So we could be 5-3 down. It's like, right, throw everybody on. Who cares? See what happens. You get one goal back, momentum's changed. Next thing you know, you got nothing to lose. You press, and then if they beat you, they score, you lose. If you beat them, then it's 5-5, and now it's a cheeky game. So, that was definitely a rule that I had to get my head around. And I was like, oh, this actually could be extraordinary if something like that happened. Especially, and again, I'm always prepared. What was that phrase? Is it prepare for the worst, but expect the best? I think so. I'm always prepared if we have to, chuck on our strikers at the end and say, hey, forget defending, go get a goal for us, then let's do it. And we go out swinging. Zabe, any other rules, Zabe?
Yeah, Z, you got one or no?
Hey, I'll text you the handbook if you need
it. I need to revise.
You're good. Let me ask you something else, Z. Then I'll pass it back to Parus. So, look, putting the team together is not easy, and also Parus said at the start, we're doing this in basically just a few months, essentially, right? From January to now, we're trying to put this whole pro team together. So a lot of moving pieces. But when you talk about like the preparation, training camp, chemistry, strategy, there's so much that goes into this team. If you guys can only pick like one thing out of those, or maybe there's something else that comes to your mind, like what's the most important thing that we need to win this million? Is it the training camp? Is it chemistry? Is it something else?
I don't know. I know we have a no swearing policy on this, right? But if you Google the policy that the New Zealand rugby team have in their dressing room, you know
Okay.
what I'm going to say,
Yep,
right?
100%.
They just have it. I'll just say the initials NDH. That's their policy, right? N November Delta Hotel, NDH. That is the basis of any team that you want. And ultimately, what it covers is make sure you haven't got ego in the team, that wherever the rules are, you respect it, whatever culture that we have is respected. I think respect is the key word. Regardless of what happens in the tournament, we're going in as like human beings. We need to keep that side of us. Remember what we are to each other. In the heat of a tournament, it can get to a stage where it gets stressy. People start falling out during the game. You might be down by 3-4, 3-0, 4-0. You don't want to lose yourself, but you got to remember that there's got to be that respect factor. So if you Google it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But ultimately, it is the respect. I think that's the key part to any team, and especially to our team as well.
I agree. I think
That's great.
that speaks to shit. Yes, you see it.
I
Yes,
just Googled it, so it makes a lot of sense to me now.
it speaks to shared vision as well, right? Like I think I'm looking forward to I am looking forward to the preseason camp. We're doing the period of time that we'll get to know the players and really put them through their paces, and like I said, with all the different bits and pieces of knowledge we picked up along the way, and making sure we give them the best chance of success. Um, and I think everyone has to buy. And I think, and this is the thing as well. I think before we even bring the players on, if a player doesn't buy in, then there's no point. So I think that's what we're lucky to do. Is that we're not going to bring somebody on without knowing that they're buying in, or at least confirming that they know what they're getting themselves into. Because Naveen, you mentioned a couple of drinks and not drinking after tournament. You know what I mean? So like that's
For real, yeah.
it's one of those things where we're taking this very seriously. And hey guys, double fisting they call it double fisting in America, right? So so yeah, no, it's no joke. And I think looking at I think a lot of people would be wrong to look at the names that are playing. Some of the gentlemen are older, some of the players are low level teams in England, for example, or something, or whatever it may be. But it is no joke, and I think they have to buy into what they're getting themselves into, keeping themselves fit. And that goes for us too as well. Like ourselves, Naveen, yourself as well, and the whole organization has to be willing to buy in. And obviously, there can be days where it's be
Yep.
difficult, but we have to buy into it, right? And I think that's the most important thing, because we're going to get through. Especially from the players that we are looking to bring on. Even then, they will have a say as well in terms of, hey, what do you think of this player? Because we're not, again, at the end of the day, the buck stops with, I guess, technically me based on the hierarchy, but really all of us. And I would put ourselves on that same level, regardless of the title. Myself, Zahaib, and Amric, but the buck stops with
Mhm.
us. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure the players understand as well, and they have a say a little bit in terms of who we're bringing in, how we can operate, and and because they see it every day as well. So I think I'm just extremely grateful that we get to do this with you as well. I think it's to repeat, it's very exciting, and going from may not be happening, years ago or 2 years ago, last year, to hey man, we have 90 days to get a team together. Which, by the way, everyone listening, we have done more work than you think. We're not, to clarify.
Yeah. It might, yeah.
We just haven't said anything yet. We're not allowed to say anything yet until Naveen gives us the permission. So yeah, it's extremely exciting. Buy in. The players have to buy in. We have to buy in with the sole goal of winning the tournament.
I love it. I feel like there's a lot more we can say and talk about, but obviously this is gonna be one of many. Like we're gonna do more of these. Gonna have Parus back on. We'll get other people involved with the team on too. We're working on I want to make sure people understand. Like you said, we're working on a lot of stuff. The content marketing machine is slowly turning on. Like we're gonna start announcing some players soon. We got some things happening. But just follow the Instagram. We got a lot of announcements coming soon. If you're a sponsor or a business, watching this, you want to get involved with the team, now's a great time to reach out to us. if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to just help out at all. So please reach out if you guys want to get involved. Is there anything you guys want to tease or talk about that may be coming up in the next few weeks for the team?
Say it.
GM. I can't speak with that
hierarchy, bro.
Nah, listen, I can't tease. Either I give away everything or I say nothing. So I'm not going to do anything. Don't ever ask me to do a surprise party for everybody because I'll tell you about it. So yeah, no, listen, I'm not doing anything. I think just any players again, that may have missed out. I'm always encouraging people to email the fc@brownballers.com. I think, like I said, we have no ego about it. I'm always curious to talk to all the different players that want to speak to. I think we'll be very honest when we speak to you. If we're able to, it's important that if you're going to send emails or inquiring about the team, then send videos, send CVs. It's hard when you send an email and it's like, hey, I want to play. It's like, sick, same. It's one of those things we need a bit more information, and I'm never gonna turn my head away if somebody sends the information, sends the videos, and I will always look and take some time to get through it. But we'll always want to have a look, and then I'll make sure we speak to you, even if it's 5 minutes, to say thank you for submitting. This is not the right fit, or thank you for submitting. This is the situation, and then. I guess maybe you could say that this is maybe a slight tease, but hopefully more information about the recruitment process moving forward. So so I guess I won't say anything else. That's my tease. I see. I almost did it. I almost gave it away.
No, basically, we'll have some more info if you want to join the team and maybe come to something that we're going to host. That'll come out hopefully soon. So stay tuned for that stuff.
Perfect. That wasn't me. Brilliant.
We're working on a lot of stuff. Basically, just you guys always know Brown Ballers. There's a lot of stuff cooking. The next few months are going to be pretty crazy for all of us. So we appreciate the support, man. Parus, I know you're in Detroit right now in a hotel room.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I appreciate you joining it. Like I said, Z's all the way in Europe, 7 hours ahead. It's like almost midnight, I think, for this man. So we're all grinding in our own unique ways. And like I said, you said it, Parus, we all have other jobs. We all have families and things going on. But like, the mission, the nonprofit, everything we're trying to do for Brown Ballers is a lot bigger than all that stuff. So we're locked in. Hopefully you guys stay locked in with us. Again, if you want to donate or sponsor, please reach out to us. Peace.